You are listening to episode 298 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey, everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and it's Ladies' Night in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
So we're playing a little bit of Rumble Roses on the PlayStation 2, and Will and I talked about this a few weeks back, and he was like, dude, it's my game that I play at night when everybody's asleep. We played it during the daytime.
We left it all jiggling in the ring.
Oh, it was an inch. You know what? We'll get into it, but I felt it was a pretty good game.
Overall. It was.
Yeah.
But before all that, this week, we are going to be talking about some other stuff. Are you ready to sign up for saving your favorite game's future? And then we take a sad look at the end of a long gaming legacy.
So before we even kick off with our recent pickups, you can, of course, find us on the GameDeflators.com, our out-of-date website. You can also find us at Game Deflators on X, at The Game Deflators on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Soon that will be changing. Once we rebrand, we'll probably get rid of the on all of it, so it'll make it easier. So we'll see how that goes. You can also find us on YouTube. We got some stuff there. And you're listening to us on a podcast application, so go ahead and leave us a 5-star review, like, subscribe, all of that good stuff that comes with it.
Tell me you're happy to have me back.
Yeah, that too. Comment that Ryan's back.
5 stars for Ryan.
So, recent pickups, I got Sea of Stars, Ultros.
Yes.
Yeah, I know, Ryan. I'm so excited. Ultros and One Piece Odyssey. Those were birthday gifts that I got within the last week or so. And I'm stoked. They were all games that I really wanted to have in the collection and, of course, play. Sea of Stars being the top one there. Followed by One Piece Odyssey, and then Ultros was one that just kind of caught my eye from the vibrant artwork and colors. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm not a huge fan of Metroidvanias, but I mean, it's super colorful, it's trippy, so I figured that might be a good one to play at some point in time.
Yeah, those are definitely 3 great games. I mean, I played Sea of Stars, but Ultros and One Piece Odyssey looked really good. I wanted to check those out for sure.
Yeah. And then as far as what I'm playing, I am still playing Alundra and the Medium. Alundra, I am 3 dungeons away from beating the game. And then I'll be, it only took me 8 months at this point to complete it. I'm telling you, a lot of it is because I fall asleep in the middle of gaming. And then the other part is just absolute platforming hell. You saw it.
Yep,
Yeah.
I saw it.
For the first time, Ryan actually got to check it out. And it was one of the final caves, the Mount Torlos Mountain or Tolrod Mountain. I forget the name of it. Tollard Mountain. So he sees what I'm dealing with, and it's like literally a freeze wand or an ice wand where I'm like trying to freeze bouncing fireballs to platform across while hitting the other bouncing fireballs at the precise moment before the other ones disappear, and they disappear in a pretty quick, period of time. So not exactly an easy game platforming wise. It is noted as a difficult game. I'm almost done with it, and then I'm not playing another Alundra game for a very long time. There's Alundra 2, which is apparently very different than this one. So, it's apparently worse, which means it's probably better.
Not good.
Well, no, I mean, if it's worse, then that means it's probably better, right? Because it's got to be opposites on this. But that's where we're at with that. And then the Medium, God, I don't even remember where we're at. We finished up with a section called The Red House, where everything just starts getting revealed, like parental lineages, like who's killed certain people, like fathers are involved at this point, more demons are involved, and you kind of learn more about like why there's this particular demon chasing you, which we've kind of called out before. So if you're interested, check that out. We do have it on the YouTube channel, so you can see up to that point. I think it's gameplay or playthrough number 9, I want to say, that's up right now. And there's a playlist tied to that too. We are missing one section because PS5 decided not to record a few weeks back, which was kind of stupid. But I'm going to replay that section at a later point in time and just add that in there. That's the goal. Unless, watch, it'll block me from playing that again. I'll have issues. Once I get there, I'll be so angry. So that is my recent pickups and what I'm currently playing.
Nice. So I have Been away for a bit. It's good to be back. I didn't really pick up a whole lot of stuff while I was gone. Really, the only gaming thing that I think I ended up getting, I got a Backbone controller to go with my new phone. And I have been playing some awesome Dolphin emulator on my phone. And it is so great to just have like RE4 on GameCube and Wind Waker just like at the drop of a hat. Like, it's great to just be able to reach into my bag, pull out that controller, hook it up to my phone. It is nice to have those physical buttons. Like, this is not something I would be doing just on my phone if it was just touchscreen. And it is nice to have, I guess, less to carry around. While it's probably similar in size to, what the Vita is, it's just nice not to have to worry about a whole nother device with a whole nother charging cable and all of this. And my phone can basically do anything the Vita could do, but better. So at this point, I have truly unlocked the, what were we saying? Best game preservation. I am preserving on the go everywhere I go.
But have you done it on a pregnancy test, RE4?
No,
Then
not Doom.
You're not done until you can play RE4 on a pregnancy test.
Right? No, it's not. We're lagging behind Doom and Skyrim in that sense on the RE4 quarter.
We've done this podcast for like 5 years, I think, close to it, and you've probably played RE4 at least once a year.
Yeah, I mean, and I never really go through it and like finish it, but there's a few games that I like to start up and just kind of like play through a little bit here and there once in a while, and that's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And then let's see here. Other than that, not a whole lot. I've been kind of just doing my own thing. I had some stuff happen, and I am ready to get back kind of to doing, podcasting, and we're going to start playing Dungeons and Dragons again. So I'm starting to get back into the swing of things. So happy to be here and, doing more Game Deflators stuff.
Yeah. Always fun, dude. And then soon I'm going to be working on our website. So that'll be my currently playing is our website build, which I don't know how that's going to go.
I need to start my game of the year.
Wait, you haven't done it yet?
No.
What was your game of the year again?
Bug Fables.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, Punishment coming. That's a short game, though, right?
I think it's 20 hours or something.
Holy crap. Yeah, dude, you might want to get started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, be thinking of a punishment here, and I might get some external help from
I'll get through it. Don't worry. You won't have to call Will.
All right. We'll see. I mean, he's going to be listening right now, and Will, if you're listening from the PlayStation Ain't Dead podcast, yeah, start thinking of punishments on PS2 specifically. It's going to happen.
Your jiggliest punishments.
Jiggliest punishments. All right. Did we have a discussion topic this week?
Yeah.
We started and then we stopped.
We're going to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So you
Spoilers
saw it.
Inbound for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, so I saw it on Monday. When did you see it?
I saw it last Thursday or Friday.
So you saw it right when it came out then?
Yeah, I saw it last week. It was, I think, a couple people I knew had seen it. I don't know when it came out, but it was really good.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, same here. I mean, I felt that for me, this was probably the best out of the three movies. A lot of it because it really did feel more like a Deadpool movie to me, with all the crazy cameos, all of the nonsense that was happening. It felt like a lot more of the breaking the fourth wall within this film than prior films. It's been a bit since I saw the other two.
I did not see the other two in the lead up to watching this one again. So
yeah.
I hadn't seen them probably since I saw those in theaters.
Yeah, same here. But I felt that, all of the cameos were a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
On this one. I mean, you had Chris Evans coming in as, Human Torch again.
So as soon as I saw his face, because that was the first one, right? Like the first cameo like that?
Yeah, I think so.
So as soon as I saw it, I knew it wasn't going to be Captain America. As soon as I saw it, I was like, it's going to be the Human Torch.
So
watch.
Actually, that wasn't a first cameo. The first cameo was, what's his name? Henry Cavill.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What did they call it? Cavillerine or something like that?
Something like that.
I don't know. That was, so you know why they put that in, right?
Yeah, I read an article afterwards.
So if you haven't seen a movie, well, if you haven't seen a movie yet, sorry for all the spoilers. But if you have seen a movie and you didn't know this, apparently Henry Cavill, there's a lot of like fans that are saying, "Oh yeah, you should totally cast him as Wolverine in the future because he looks like Hugh Jackman," all this other stuff. And so they put it in there to show you how stupid of an idea it actually is. So I was like,
I
that's
like
great.
the canonically accurate height Wolverine.
Yes, that was that was great. Yeah, I mean, I felt it was pretty awesome. All of the different Wolverines over, essentially every type of time period or Earth that you could think of was pretty cool. The cameos were great. What was his name? Who plays Gambit?
Oh, Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
He always does the best cameos in movies.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And that's so cool that they gave him that chance to kind of show that character that he had like worked on and tried to develop a movie for. Like, there's so much good, I think, that came out of like showing all of these like past versions of things and like alternative, like, showing what things would look like if you tried to do it in a certain way, but cram it all into this wacky movie. It really kind of like opened the lid on like, all right, this is what Marvel movies have kind of been like going towards. This is what everything really is. And here's kind of the gulf of difference between the two and what actually makes a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously been very successful. It's, I think, the most successful Marvel movie that's been released. As far as a rated R is concerned, I think it's one of the most popular, if not the most popular movie, and most profitable, too, over an opening day weekend. So,
especially recently.
Yeah. So I think all of that's super cool for it. That to me means, like, if it's bringing in money, that probably means another Deadpool movie down the road, which is always fun.
Hugh Jackman doing it till he's 90.
Dude, that was funny. We were like, oh yeah, Disney's gonna have him doing this till he's 90 or whatever. It's like, like things like that, like the little shots at Disney, the 20th Century Fox that was like broken up and buried within the void. I thought that was pretty funny. So yeah, a lot of nice Easter eggs throughout the film, a lot of good cameos, and then the fight scenes were fantastic. Lots of blood and gore that was involved in that. And then
that opening fight scene with the skeleton,
was
so good.
Not even just like that; it was the music, the NSYNC music, and then breaking the fourth wall again with NSYNC and doing that dance. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, overall, I mean, I had a great time with it. It's, like I said, my favorite out of the three, and I'm hoping there's another one. I hope they do more with the Deadpool or the Deadpool corpse or whatever, the Merc corpse with all the Deadpools. I thought that was great. And then
the dog, man, that poor dog.
That dog was ugly as shit, dude. It was just cringeworthy watching that dog.
That dog deserves all the love in the world, and he's probably a very good boy. But
I also like I haven't read the Deadpool comics, but I've seen enough over the years and like read a little bit here and there to obviously have gotten the feel for it over the years. And know like who that character is. And so I got a good laugh at Peter Pool as well. Like, it's like, oh, every Deadpool has a Peter. I'm like, I see what they did there. Like, just never even thought about that till they talked on the film. But yeah, just really funny film and a lot of action. Totally worth watching if you haven't seen it. But again, if you've gotten to this point, you've heard so many ridiculous spoilers. I don't know, maybe it's spoilers in the sense that you're kind of hearing a few things here and there and you don't care and you're like, all right, now I'm amped up to see it, or you just kind of shut the bed and you just kept listening.
I mean, the visual and the comedy of everything is not something that you can really spoil. Like,
no, for sure.
I mean, we've talked about things that happen, but I mean, there's an idea of spoilers that like I've heard before that I really like. It's what's his name? Matt Colville. He talks about like when he's an older guy, and he talks about like when he was younger and you'd be like reading a book and your friend be like, oh, what are you reading? You'd be like, oh, it's about this guy and he gets the sword and he goes to this castle and he fights this dragon. And it's like, it wasn't like la 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 spoilers. It was like, no, I'm just kind of telling you what I'm giving you kind of a preview. Like if you've ever seen a movie trailer, like they show you stuff that happens in the movie.
Or it's a synopsis.
And it's like,
which we do as well.
Yeah, these days it's just, I don't know, people get so crazy about spoilers and stuff sometimes.
I think I told you or maybe somebody else in a podcast, but like I have not had spoilers for years. Like, it just doesn't impact me as much as others, I
I
guess.
just
Like,
don't go on social media.
well, even so, like, it's just, it's one of those things, like, even if I'm expecting it to happen, I still want to watch it, right?
Yeah.
So, like, if I hear about, I don't know, like, back in the day when it was Walking Dead, it's like, oh, so-and-so dies. Okay, well, there's a comic book, and yeah, they probably die in a comic book. But what actually might happen on the show is different, and how it happens is something that, I might be interested in looking at. And then the same thing can be said about like One Piece, right? Like if you read the manga, it doesn't kind of detract you from wanting to watch the anime and see it happen. So kind of the same concept here with these like spoilers and some of the crazy stuff happening. But we're at least not going into the full plot of like why they're in the void and what's happening with that and who's involved, who's the main villain throughout, or villains, as you kind of learn through the movies. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm probably gonna at some point watch it again whenever it comes out.
It was definitely one that I think is going to be more fun to revisit. Like, not that the first like couple of Deadpool movies weren't good, but I don't know. I never really felt the urge to go back and rewatch those ones. But this one, I think I definitely will, especially because there's so much stuff to parse out in it. And that's kind of things that I like in background movies. Like, I watched the Mario movie as like a background movie doing something like a week ago. And it's like a great movie to have on as like just a background thing, because you'll look up, you'll recognize, you'll see cool stuff. It looks really good. And a lot of people were just like down on it because it's just pure nostalgia trip. And it's like, well, I mean, sometimes just something familiar to have on is worth a good time anyways.
I was down on it because I felt it was just a vomit of nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's other episodes you can look at that we've released that go into that. Another movie I saw this weekend, by the way, and actually, sorry, one more thing before that other movie. Did you see what happened with the Deadpool video game?
Yeah.
That skyrocketed like $130. I haven't checked it recently, but I mean, it was really only released on PS4 and Xbox One. So that makes sense if it was only released on that. It wasn't a very popular game from what I understand when it came out. I do own a copy because my wife likes Deadpool and she played through it. But the only other Deadpool game out there that I'm aware of is on the GBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a GBA.
I think it's on the
Deadpool
GBA.
game.
Yeah. I don't know if you want to look that one up while we're going. But yeah, so outside of that game going up in crazy prices, we saw Twisters yesterday. Which, if you're not familiar with Twisters, it's the sequel to Twister, which came out in the 90s. And it was a good movie, dude. Like, we actually had a good time with that film, and it was exactly what you would expect. People pretending to know meteorology and chasing tornadoes and doing weird stuff in tornadoes. And, of course, having giant, catastrophic-looking tornadoes with weird actual things that would never happen in science happening scientifically in the film to stop tornadoes. So I thought it was good. It had a pretty good story to it. And the actual action was pretty good as well. So
yeah, it looks
all
like
worth
there is
watching
a GBA Deadpool.
It's actually kind of cheap. It's like $35 for a loose copy. So it's not too bad. All right, should we move into these articles?
Yes.
All right.
So first up, if 1 million people sign a petition, a ban on rendering multiplayer games unplayable has a chance to become law in Europe. This article by Christopher Livingston at PC Gamer. This is a very cool thing here. This is being led, who is it? Ross Scott. He put out this YouTube video calling in basically for everyone who is in Europe who has the ability to sign this petition. They need 1 million signatures, and then they can try to push this up to be reviewed by, was it like some special council or something? The let's see, European Citizens Initiative. And the European Union will review anything that can get that many signatures to try to push it into law. So this is basically trying to stop game companies from being able to make a game, sell it to you, and then shut it down completely and make it unplayable and your purchase, like, just out the window. So they would be required in this to at least have some sort of tools to be able to allow you to host your own servers and be able to keep the games that you've paid for alive and working into the future, and not just have this kill switch where they just control all the media and your license doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it's genius. I think it's something that is definitely necessary. There's nothing worse than, getting involved in a game and, putting a ton of time into it, throwing money into it, even if it's like a free game. But especially if you paid for said game and then you've started doing like all of these microtransactions, only for them to shut down servers for some sort of multiplayer, and now you can't play with your friends anymore in any capacity because everything's online. There's no local multiplayer anymore. So I'm all for this. I hope something like this does pass. It'll make companies think twice about dedicating a ton of resources towards making live service games or other video games that may or may not be successful, and then determining, there's tax breaks, right? Because we're going to shut things down. We're going to lose X amount of revenue. Oh, we can now lay off staff because of this particular game didn't do well. Like, I think a lot of that can be avoided long term, and it especially helps financially if it makes these companies think twice. And then, of course, even if they don't think twice about it, at least allowing players to continue having fun with those titles. And who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, you could have a following of people that are enjoying these games down the road so much that it creates enough of a, hey, maybe we should revisit this and remaster, or maybe we should look at a sequel. We didn't consider how popular this was before we pulled the plug on it. Things like that.
I think this could have other potential ripple effects as well. If a game is going to be set to release and it has to have all of these elements as a part of it, that kind of means that they've seen and done some work in the game to have it be, post-release, ready for this. So hopefully in that sense, like if they're having to make all these systems and make the game basically stable enough to be able to work on its own at release, maybe that means less push it out, we'll fix it in the next few weeks, or we'll just do a bunch of post, day one content to get everything kind of where it really needs to be. Just ship it now. Like maybe this will get rid of some of that if they have some accountability for not only, if they're not really going to be held accountable for release day and the finished state of the product, but the longevity of the product. To me, those things don't seem so far apart.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that it is going to have long-term ripple effects in various areas of the gaming process and launches, and I think it's the right move. Hopefully we learn more about this in the coming months, and hopefully something like this kind of comes into the U.S. You got to figure if it's going to be applicable to the EU and the player base out there, companies aren't just going to make two variants of like a video game, right? Like, oh, okay, well, you can continue playing this in the EU on your own servers, but in the US and everywhere else in the world, you can't. Like, I think this will have, like, if it does pass EU law, then there will be considerations to make it happen in the US and other countries, obviously.
Yeah. Also, I mean, when you think about these games having like private servers and being able to kind of host your own after the developers stop supporting, I mean, a lot of those situations, I'm guessing that, the protections and the restrictions around like modding and cheating and things like those are really going to be gone as well. So some games that, have died when the publisher gave up on them, they may have had a core enough community that some people could have done some mods that could have, given a lot more longevity. I mean, there's so many games that have been turned into almost completely other games through modding, that some of these games that were just short of being successful, like there's that one that's out now.
It was like Fallout London.
Yeah.
Fallout London. Is that the one you're thinking of?
No, I was thinking of that hero shooter. It starts with a C, Concord.
Oh.
Concord. Like people I've seen are saying that that's like a really solid game. It's got like some good like fundamentals. The shooting's well done. Like it's made by people who know how to make a good feeling game. But because it's like a live service hero shooter in a world where nobody is really that excited about some generic Guardians of the Galaxy version of that game, it's got good bones in it. If the studio abandons it a year in, somebody could still use those bones to do something with it.
Yeah, the only thing you're going to run into, I think, is profitability. If there's anything that happens from people kind of modding those games and getting anything out of it, then you're going to start seeing, cease and desist letters, lawsuits.
Well, it's the same thing with modding any game.
Well, yeah, typically. In most PC games, like once it's modded, there's no issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that turns out. Well, so as far as, axing stuff, GameStop, they've shut down Game Informer. So the longest running game magazine in the U.S. is done. So this one comes from Ethan Gack at Kotaku. This was a random one for me, dude, because
I had no idea until I saw a headline and I was like, what?
Yeah, same thing. I roll out of bed. Usually I'll kind of try to wake up. I'll scroll Google, see if there's any news articles that came out. Saw this and I was like, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, it sucks because I've been getting the physical magazines for the last few years, and I've always enjoyed kind of browsing through, looking at a few pieces, looking at reviews, kind of seeing what's upcoming in there. Things that I wouldn't have thought of coming out at any point soon because it, maybe I didn't catch a trailer or I didn't happen to see an advertisement for it. Oftentimes I'll see it in that print piece, which is nice. But they've had layoffs. They have their website is now redirecting to a statement thanking people for all of their contributions and support and all of that over the years. A lot of people are saying that was likely written by AI since they laid off all the workers.
Yeah.
There's no reason you keep one guy on staff just to have him write that and then get rid of it. So yeah, likely an AI piece or some sort of executive that was involved in the layoffs. But yeah, it sucks, dude. And it's funny because I've got the pro membership that has the physical magazine. I haven't seen anything come in and says, hey, John, you're going to be refunded X amount because the remainder of the year is still, 4 months left, right, on the year. So what is GameStop doing to compensate that? Because I think I renewed in March for my pro membership. So realistically, I've got even further than that in terms of money that's been paid out for what is really a pro subscription that has a physical magazine to it.
Yeah, but what's a magazine subscription? $5 a month?
Well, they were doing it for $20 for the year. So, I mean, I would think...
So what, you're looking to get your $4 back?
No, it wouldn't be $4, it'd be like 10. But here's the point. They've also, just 2 months ago or 3 months ago, they released a new subscription model for the magazine only. So they separated it. And so they've been advertising this for some time.
So maybe nobody signed up for that.
Or they're issuing refunds. Yeah, you're right. Maybe nobody signed up for it, which is interesting because, they had the pro membership and it was kind of lumped in of, hey, you're going to get a physical magazine. That to me seemed pretty smart. You're going to get more money up front for a physical magazine. Some people are getting digital only. And then they get their 10% off or 5% off, whatever it is that you get in store as a pro member and the $5 certificate every month. That to me was a great deal and worthy of keeping GameStop. Now I have no reason to keep a pro membership with them. Mm-hmm. I go to GameStop maybe once every few months. So what am I going to do? Save $5 here and there, and it goes away after the month. It's not like it adds up every month.
Yeah.
So,
and the worst part is in today's climate with a big giant, 33-year long running publisher like that, all of those people, they don't have anywhere else really to go. There's not other places out there that are doing that, and to try to start up a magazine in this day and age with the fallout of the remnants from there to try to do some Rebel Zine or something to counteract that. I don't see anything like that really being viable. So all of these great writers and reviewers and people of the industry, those voices, where do they go now? What do they do now? How do they make their living now?
They likely go to places like Kotaku, actually, and Gamerant and PC Gamer and other publications that are doing digital only.
But a lot of those
pieces.
Companies have been bought up in recent times and consolidated, and Second Wind split off from God, I don't even remember who they were with at this point, but that was a big acquisition last year, and Yahtzee Croshaw and those people, they all spun off and made their own thing, but they were all YouTube people, with an actual dedicated followership to them, subscribing, and had Patreon money and all those kinds of avenues. But for print media people, it's hard to get people to want to financially support that.
Well, and print media as a whole is not exactly thriving, like you said, right? So it's not like people are going out and buying physical newspapers and physical magazines, every single day. There, you do have an audience that does that, which I was one of those members getting the physical magazine. Would I keep it? No, it get recycled. I'm going to keep this last issue because it's the last issue.
Yeah, that's crazy. Dragon Age Veilguard, the last cover, like, who would have thought that that's what they'd go out on?
Well, and they were talking about how they were like 75% through completing the next issue and, ready to kind of move that forward, and things looked good. And all of a sudden they're like, no, we're done. So it would be interesting to see, how much of that was impacted because of their profitability and the stock market. And
like they couldn't give them an extra 2 weeks to finish that magazine and write like a from the editor, like goodbye or something, like it's just so sad how they just like cut it. Like it never meant anything.
Well, I mean, with it being a multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar corporation, like, no, it doesn't mean anything to them at the end of the day. It's just numbers. And if the margins aren't there to make good money off of a magazine, then they're going to cut it, and they're going to cut all those salaries to try and, make something out of it. GameStop is shifting. Like, they're bringing in cards into their shops, like graded cards, for example. They've kind of shifted into retro. They still have the collectible stuff going. They still have the used games. They're trying to get involved in, whatever type of digital they can, obviously, to go that route. So the business is changing as a whole for that company, and a magazine is likely the outsider in all of that. And they likely saw that as hey, it's losing us more money than it's making us, and, let's just get rid of it. But you'd think that they would have look to ship that off to another company or sell that asset too.
Yeah.
Right? Because like if you had a separate publication for it, then just sell it.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a buyer out there. Maybe they did look for a buyer. Nobody was interested.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely a missing piece. Like that was I think one of the last good gaming magazines that was out there. There are others. Like I know independent organizations do stuff. Like there's a retro gaming magazine that some folks have out there, and Sega Saturn Shiro, they've got a magazine too. But GameStop had Game Informer. That was like the big one. That's the one that had all the big reviews and things of that nature that were upcoming and new releases and things of that. And it sucks, it's gone. But yeah, we move on, I guess, and hopefully those folks can find new jobs and move on in the industry as well.
And just as an end note for this article, so that everybody's aware, Ryan Cohen, CEO, he's currently being sued by his previous company, Bed Bath & Beyond, for $47 million in insider trading profits. So, this is the guy making these kinds of decisions out there.
Ryan Cohen was supposed to be like the savior of GameStop too. And it's funny because Bed Bath & Beyond obviously went bankrupt and had their issues. So, yeah, no surprises there, I guess. Yeah. All right. One last piece to actually cap it off after your cap off. So when I went into GameStop yesterday, because we went out to Tempe Marketplace, and I did pick up Back to the Future on the Wii. They happen to have like one Wii game there at the time. Complete in box, nice copy. Picked it up.
Dude, you should get the DeLorean Lego set. That one's sick.
I'm good. I don't know where I would put that. It wouldn't be allowed in this room because it's not a book. So that'd be the issue for that one. Unless I could find a comic book and justify it.
Sure there is.
I'm sure there is. But yeah, so when I went in there and talked to the GameStop rep about the hey, what have they said about like the physical magazine people that have like my type of, pro membership? He's like, oh, well, they haven't told us anything, and I don't know what's going on because they just sent us this. And he shows me a paper that's like, subscribe today for, the membership of $20. I'm like, what? I'm like, when did you get that? And he's like, oh, we just got it today. I'm like, oh, well, the decision was made today and you just got it, which means they shipped it a couple days ago. Like, okay, like that means nothing at this point, dude. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe they'll have like some sort of plans from like you're a random GameStop representative at a store who is showing me something that literally was printed multiple days ago and just shipped to you today.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay.
You don't know.
You don't know. So I will just figure it out through Reddit like all other people do. Okay, our inflation deflation for the week. We played some Rumble Roses on the PlayStation 2. This was developed by Konami Computer Entertainment and Tokyo Ukes, or actually, commas. I'm not reading them. Konami Computer Entertainment Tokyo and Ukes.
I think it's Yuki's.
No, it's Ukes.
Ukes?
Ukes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Somebody's going to correct me, but I'm 99.5% sure it's Ukes. And it was published by Konami. It was directed by Hiromi Furuta and Mugio Awano. I butchered those names. It was released in November of 2004. It is a sports fighting game. Reception of 6 to 8 out of 10.
So the synopsis on this, I didn't really get any of this from what we played, but according to the wiki, a mad scientist holds a world wrestling tournament for women so that they can brainwash them and collect DNA to create super soldiers.
Well, I didn't get that from what we played either. There's a lot of things bouncing around in the game to really pinpoint what it was about.
It's hard to pin down.
Yeah, it really was hard to pin down. So I could see that story evolving into something. Like we played Candy Cane, I think it was, and we wrestled our first match, and we were approached by Candy Cane's teacher, who got in her lacy outfit, told us that we needed to go back to school, and then we somehow ended up in a mud wrestling match. Hey, it's right on there with who was it? Dixie Calamitous or something? I don't remember. I don't know. It was a mud wrestling match. And then we finished that up, and we stopped playing story mode because we had already played enough in one-on-one.
We did a couple matches before that. It was pretty good. Like, as far as a wrestling game, I have almost no experience with wrestling games, so I just mashed. I just button mashed, and my thumbs were hurting, and we did okay. I think we each won a match.
You won the mud wrestling match. I won the regular match by submission, and then we both won, of course, our story matches. I thought from a mechanic standpoint, I've played a number of wrestling games over the years. This one actually felt really good for a wrestling game. The turnbuckle usage, being able to bounce off the ropes, go in and out of the ring, the submissions, the pinfalls, the grappling mechanics, it all felt like a really well done wrestling game. Actually, I was quite impressed by it, considering some of the games I've played in the past. So this was actually top tier, I think, in terms of controls.
And I mean, as far as looking at a PS2 game, I mean, this game, we played other wrestling games. Sorry. We played another wrestling game on the PS2 as well. And night and day, how different you can be with, the same game type on the same console. And Konami's pulled off jiggle physics, the like of what the world had never seen up to this point.
There was a lot of jiggle physics in this game.
I thought DOA Extreme Beach Volleyball was where all that started. I didn't know it started all the way back on the PS2.
Well, I mean, DOA was out on the Xbox at the same time period.
Yeah,
technically.
Yeah, that's true. It was I don't know. I've never been too into wrestling. I've seen some stuff about wrestling online. Super Eye Patch Wolf has some great YouTube content on wrestling, and I enjoy the idea behind wrestling, so I'm really excited to explore more wrestling games this month. But as far as this one goes, a 6 to 8 out of 10, I mean, that sounds like a pretty good average reception. I mean, it was a pretty good average game. It wasn't anything stupendously, standing out that made it heads and shoulders above anything else I'd ever played, but it definitely wasn't really held back by its controls the way, other games are.
No, I felt like the graphics were good, the voice acting was good, the music made sense, the entrances, the mechanics of the game, everything was super clean and fluid. There were multiple match types that we could have jumped into, obviously. I don't know if anything else unlocks as you play the game.
There was a bunch of unlockable characters.
Yeah, there was a ton of unlockable characters, so you got some variety there, and of course movesets are different per character. You have lethal moves, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, specials.
Yeah, you got your specials throughout, which is nice. So all of that looked really good, and we didn't go too deep into story mode, but apparently the story mode is pretty decent as well. Which I'm sure we learn about, a mad scientist brainwashing women to collect DNA and create super soldiers. Which
we'll have to ask Will how the story ends.
You know what? I have a feeling he doesn't know how the story ends.
I only played for about 3 minutes.
He'll tell us it was a happy ending. That's what he'll tell us. But yeah, I felt overall it was pretty good. But let's, get in the brass tacks if you want to go over the data.
Complete inbox copy will run you $29.86. That peaked at $29.99 back in March of 2024. That price is currently holding. At loose, it'll run you $15.23. That peaked at $21.48 back in May of 23, and that is currently holding. So all in all, I mean, this game, I'd say $20. I'd give it $20. I think $30 is a little too much to pay. I think I could find something better to occupy my time.
I don't actually. So, and here's why. The Xbox 360 version of this game is like $80-something or $60. Yeah. So that game's actually much more. Graphically, obviously Xbox is better, but is it going to be a huge difference? Maybe, maybe not. Okay. So you have that as a big price point. This game actually I'm seeing more and more listings at $35, $40, $45.
So you think this one's going up?
I think it's going to go up, actually. And considering it was PS2 for this one, 360 for the other, there's no other release other than Japanese versions of a game. It's not something that's going to be re-released. Can you see them in today's society releasing a new Rumble Roses game? Maybe, maybe not. I think this will go up. I do think it's going to get harder to find. All the copies that I'm seeing that are like loose $15 are scratched to shit. The 30,
you had a hard time buying your copy.
I have. I'm still having a hard time because every time I get a copy of a game, it's got something weird. I had cracks in the middle of the one game, which I've returned. This one had top scratches, which a couple top scratches, but you could see through in one section. Does it affect the game? I won't fully know. Luckily, the seller was stupid enough to ship it to me in a giant box of packing peanuts and everything else, which definitely cost him like $8 or $9 in shipping fees.
Jeez.
He could have sent in like a bubble wrap mailer and it would have been fine. So yeah, he sent it out and like it was crazy, like good wrapping, but didn't need to do all that for this game that I bought for $20. You spent half of that on your shipping, and it's like you're gonna spend more shipping money to give me a new label. So at the end of the day, he cut his losses on the sale and just said, "No, go ahead and keep it." And my argument was valid. Hey, it's got top scratches. It may or may not affect the game. I don't know until I get through the game, and that could be 2-3 years from now that I play this thing. So yeah, I have had a hard time finding a good copy, especially in like minty conditions. So I think $29.86 is actually about right at this point in time, but I do see it going higher. So I would buy it right now if you don't own it.
There you go.
Yeah,
from the man himself.
So do we want to say this is just right then?
Yeah, I'll acquiesce.
All right, sounds good. So the other game Ryan was talking about was Fire Pro Wrestling on the PlayStation 2. We'll be playing that one, or we already played it for next week, so we'll give you our full thoughts on that game. Heads up, it was interesting. It was, and I got frustrated quite a bit. I don't know how Ryan did so well.
Alundra strikes back.
That's pretty much what it came down to. Alundra strikes back. Well, this has been episode 298 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.